Hello, hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Let Fear Bounce. This is Kim Langling, your host, and I am so glad that you are deciding to spend some of your day with myself today and my special guest, Walker Kimberly Brandt. Now, I've had her on as a guest about a year and a half ago, folks, and I am so excited to have her back. And I have to be honest and transparent. We just sat here and talked for over a half an hour and solved all of the world's problems before we hit record. So just so you know, we've solved the world's problems. So let me introduce her to you, shall I? Walker is an actress, and she has appeared in blockbuster films, TV shows, and countless advertising campaigns, which she continues to do to this day. She is also the author of AWAKEN, Discovering Yourself Through the Light of Your Innocence, which is her unique story about the choices that she made at a young age to overcome the trauma of her youth and the anxiety that it caused her. Now, today, she works closely with Lisa Nichols, one of the world's most requested motivational speakers. She's a contracted speaker coach in the within Lisa Nichols' community of millions. And Walker participates in two of her twice annual signature events, the legendary Speaker Conference and Speak and Write. Walker, welcome. Welcome to Let Fear Bounce. I am so glad to have you on again.
I am so glad to be here. If anyone has any questions on how to save the world, you can reach out to my website or Kim.
You're right.
Any point, we have got this down. We've got the answers.
That's right. It's walkerandkim.com or walkerandkimsavetheworld.com. There you go.
Exactly.
And I just made that up. So please don't go there, folks, because it doesn't exist yet.
Yes, that's right. That's right. Oh my
Once
goodness.
again, welcome to Let Fear Bounce. Well, we were talking again off mic, all kinds of stuff going on in the last year and a half for both of us in our lives. And you have been just on a roll with Lisa Nichols, which I think is awesome. So I do want to start there. How did that come about that you got connected with her and now you're contracted with her and speaking all over the world with her?
Well, yeah, it's an amazing sort of story, but very cool story. Um, when life presents you with a huge obstacle, which I know you can relate, we both can relate, and a lot of people listening right now can relate. There's a point where you perhaps get to a surrender state. You realize where you're at is not working, you're overwhelmed, you don't have the answers. And for me, I had to surrender. And I literally said, God, spirit, universe, power greater than me, I am surrendering to you. I don't have the answer. I need you to guide me where I need to go next because I cannot see more than an inch in front of me. I've felt just literally brought to my knees in tears. My husband had a life-threatening diagnosis, and it triggered a bunch of it's not a bunch, but several issues that were deeply buried inside that I didn't realize were there. And that's, life is, it's school, right? It's like you're in school, this beautiful school with a lot of playground time. Thankfully, if you feel that and see that, you allow yourself that gift. But there are times when we're really stretched to grow, and that's what I was feeling. It wasn't like those, when you wake up in the middle of the night with those calf cramps as a kid, which we all have been through. And you wake up screaming, but it's something that goes away in a couple of minutes with a massage. Fighting a life-threatening doesn't go away in a couple of minutes with a massage. It can go away over time, and massage is good because self-care is good for releasing disease. And one thing I've always done as an individual, for whatever reason, a gift from God as a kid, because I reached out to God as a young child in nature. We talked about this on the first show, and knew that I was a part of something bigger than myself, connected to nature, and it really saved my life because being in my family and the dysfunction of it and feeling that that was all there was disheartening and painful and also overwhelming. In this moment, I felt similar. So I felt the same need to surrender. And when I do that, I always say, show me the door and I will open and walk through. And It makes me emotional just saying it, because you have to put yourself, for me, I have to put myself in that place of the unknown, of, where often fear pops up so big because of what we've been exposed to, what we've been taught, that what we know is really the best. Because if we know it, then we can control it. But that really isn't the best. It isn't how we come into this world, and it isn't how we learn how to walk, talk, think. Anything we learn, anything we've ever experienced comes from the unknown. And somehow, from an age, maybe it's pre, teen, it starts happening. Maybe it's still in your single digits. I don't know exactly what the age it is, but we start burying our innocence that is really comfortable in the unknown, with with our influences and our perceptions and others' perceptions, our story, family stories, what our family individuals' limitations are. They bury that comfort in the unknown with all those and all of their stuff, and then the world's ideas for you. And these ideas are not your idea. And what it starts to compress and shut who we are down. And I knew in this moment I needed to open the door. And I had not really focused on anything other than, I didn't have time to focus on anything other than my work and my family. We're raising a daughter, and personal development has been something I've always been into my whole life, since teenage years, to help recover and be successful in the world, having come from the childhood I came from. So I knew I needed to work on myself. I knew that I had had some pretty destructive influences, and had the awareness at a young age also to know that who you hang out with does impact you, and it leaves a groove. And if you want to ungroove, it's like water in a rock. If you want to ungroove that groove, you're going to have to seek out different influences and also clean out the influences within yourself, right? So that's what I did. Is I found myself in that same position, and all the fear coming in, and recognizing that fear was a concept. It was something that was handed to me, something I did not know about coming into this world, and didn't know about for many, many years. Out in nature, I never felt afraid. Felt afraid of my family, but didn't feel afraid in nature. So I had this balance. After I said that, literally 2 days later, I ended up hearing about a speaker named Marcy Shimoff, and she had a course called the Miracle Zone, Year of Miracles. It just popped up in my email. I don't know where it came from, just out of nowhere. And I clicked on it, and I said, okay, I said I'd open the door. So I just opened these doors, even if I didn't recognize them. I went through them and checked it out. So I opened that door. That email was a door. I knew I needed to read it. And I joined Marcy Shimoff's year-long program, Year of Miracles. And she had speakers. I think monthly she had speakers. One of the speakers, and they were only like 20 minutes, they would come on. And Lisa Nichols was one of her speakers. And I knew in the first few words out of her mouth, I knew her energy. I knew I wanted to know this person. I wanted to meet this person, and I just wanted to know more about her. So I looked her up, and she had a event called Speak and Write that was happening in 2018, end of 2018 in San Diego. And I went, and wow, is all I can say. She was everything I thought she would be. She's the number one motivational speaker in the world, but she has a unique, something unique about her. She really wants everyone to experience what she has experienced. She wants to help people that want to be speakers and there's not a single program she makes where you're not going to grow personally, because she truly believes that you will only have the success that you at the same level that you are personally grown and aware. If we don't work on ourselves and develop our personal training and development, we will not succeed to the level we can, because we will have issues will get in the way. So she doesn't offer anything that doesn't also push you to expand your inner world while you want to expand your outer world, right? Your success in both areas. And so I noticed that about her, and her desire to give back was all about, look, it took me 10 years. I went to this, one of the things she shares is she went to a seminar 42 times, and it was really expensive, and it was all men, but she went 42 times. She's also a high functioning dyslexic. So I could relate to that and how she went through her life feeling like, she was stupid because schools didn't support people that had dyslexia at all, or ADHD or any of those things. They just kind of labeled it as hyperactivity, or you're not very smart. And so she suffered through that in general ed, like I did. And so I could relate. And I enjoyed that she wasn't like a lot of personal development coaches and people out there that I find tend to use. It feels like the weaknesses of others becomes something that is used to create a lifelong customer. And it's kind of like there's triggers that they use, and she wants to see people create success and reach out and say, hey, this is what I'm doing, and know they have a community to support them. She has built this huge community to support everyone that's in her community. They can go and talk to each other and work together and network with one another. And, she has her events she does. I mean, and no question, she makes money on her events, but I've never seen anyone over deliver like this woman over delivers. And that's who she is. So I had a lot of respect for her. And she is the one that actually encouraged me to write my book. She shifted something with just this statement to me inside my own mind that felt like I couldn't tell anyone my story because of the judgment that I would experience and the shame that I felt around it. She said, your story doesn't belong to you. It belongs to the person that can help. You need to write it. You need to share it. And for me, I never thought somebody could be helped by hearing, a story about a kid who grew up in my environment, about, my grandmother being killed by my grandfather, about the domestic violence, the getting away with it, the abuse against women, the legacy of abused women in my family. I felt like it was something I had to run from, and something I had to overcome, and something I had to never tell anyone about because they would judge me and then they would limit me based on that. I didn't know that it could actually help me rise above it and release. I didn't know I was even limiting myself, because I had convinced myself that the success I had built was because I had hidden it.
Mm.
So I think that is maybe somebody out there needed to hear that, because sometimes
that's powerful though, how you just worded that. Yeah. Wow.
because we perceive validation as we perceive it. And if we are doing better than where we came from, the mind wants us to think that that's as good as we can do because it's better than, and we've gone beyond it. But survival is what the mind is, the mind is only preoccupied with survival and the self and protecting us, right? Based on what we know, again, based on what we know. And when living that way, it's such a controlling box to live in. And I never connected that while creating this high level success in my career. I thought, okay, nobody in my family's an actor. Nobody's created the success I did. Nobody made the money I've made. It was like, I just superseded my family in all areas. And I thought, okay, well, I have broken that chain. I have broken that worldly chain, but I had not broken the inside out chain, because I was my own judger.
Mm-hmm.
I was my own confiner. I was inside my own little box in there, not realizing that, because of not speaking to it, because of the shame, because, I created this nice, pretty little bow and, nice wrapping paper around it right inside. And it reached a point with my husband's diagnosis where I could not, the wrapping paper came off, the bow, everything I could see it for what it was. I was carrying around this heavy, heavy box. And I didn't have the strength to carry it and fight this battle with my husband. So that is how Lisa, a long way around, but perhaps somebody again needed to hear that it doesn't happen overnight.
Right.
Wanting it to happen overnight is not realistic. It happens in steps. Some of them are big, some of them are little. And the very first one is having the courage to open the door.
And
And
each step you have to be open to learning something from it.
yes,
So you can continue on to the next step.
exactly,
Not
exactly.
not get mired down, or I was just talking to somebody earlier today, and we were talking about, I said, I call stuff like that negative anchors that are weighing you down.
Mhm.
And my visual picture of it is, I just let that person put their negative anchor on my shoulder, and here I am dragging that big old chain and an anchor around. Oh gosh, here comes another one. Oh gosh, I just yeah, just wrap that one around my neck. Negative anchors. You have to be willing to let go of them and learn so you can take that next step. Yeah.
Exactly. I love that term, negative anchors. It's exactly what it is. And you have to, yeah, they're attached to you, to us in different places.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really important too, knowing where it's attached because our bodies retain. And it's so important. Oh, okay. That was that anchor. No wonder why. And why I had, all these issues in my reproductive organs, throughout my life.
Yes.
That was a huge wake up call. So a lot of those, that's what's been happening in the community with Lisa. Is I entered a community where that is what everybody that comes into that community does. Essentially, they're coming there, they're drawn to Lisa and her community because it's filled with people who are not willing to live in the past, not willing to live under the burden of the abuse they experienced, not willing to um, give their future to their trauma, and not willing to be defined by something that didn't belong to them in the first place.
Right.
And it's very challenging at times for people to realize when they've been through physical, mental, emotional, sexual trauma, abuse, to, especially when it happens when you're young, is to not personalize it and to not think it is because of something you've done. When you get to the point, when we get to the point where we can say it isn't and didn't belong to me, it doesn't, I don't have to own that. It may have happened to me, but making it mine is my choice. And
Right.
that I didn't realize, because I had wrapped it up, like I said, in this box and made it all look, and created all this success around me, that I was owning it. And there was also, gosh dang it, it's such a weird thing that happens with abuse. It almost becomes like a badge of freaking honor.
You're right.
It's
Yes, you're right. I can see that and agree with that. Yes.
it's like, okay, I've got something, this is what I've been through. You don't, and you don't even, we hold on to it like it is something that we need to hold on to. And it's so strange how that happens in the mind out of this self-protecting thing. No, you can't disown this. It's who you are. It's no, it is a part of your experience, but it has never been who you are.
Right.
And
Right.
that
Right. Pieces
discernment.
of luggage. Pieces of luggage. Years ago, at my church, we did a drama, and the pastor had asked me to take the lead on this one drama, and it was about all the luggage that we carry. So I literally had suitcases from small little tote bags to big old suitcases that I carried all at the same time. I had them wrapped around my neck, my shoulders, dragging them out onto the stage. And for, I don't know, 15 minutes or so, I talked about what I was carrying in each piece of luggage: regret, fear, abuse, childhood trauma, whatever was in each suitcase. And each one was more heavier than the last. And there was a bridge built on stage. And I wasn't allowed in this drama to cross that bridge unless I left the luggage on the side, because I wouldn't be able to cross it because it was too heavy. I had to cross it unburdened.
Mm.
And the whole thing was called The Bridge. And it was, you're talking, and I'm going, oh, luggage. Then that's another, I'm a very visual person. So if anybody out there needed that picture, there you go. Negative anchors, luggage, all kinds of stuff. But yeah, powerful stuff that once we realize it and can recognize it for what it is, how profound it can, what a profound impact it can have on our lives and how we see ourselves moving forward. So you were moving forward. You opened that door and you're going forward. How did it come about that you're actually working with Lisa then?
I know. So 2 years into it, three programs that I took with her because I really wanted to. First of all, to digress for 1 second, I realized at the beginning of being in her community and going into her one of her courses called Speakers Mastermind that I had no skill talking about my personal life myself.
Mm.
I could play any character. I could sell any brand. I made a lot of money speaking other people's words. But the words that were inside of me about my life, I had no skill.
It wasn't a written script.
It wasn't a written script and it was terrifying,
Wow.
terrifying. And that's all she deals with when
Yeah.
she's working with speakers is your story.
Yep.
I my business, I was so attracted to it because I could live other people's stories and not have to live mine. I could keep it in the box, right? Well, the lid was blown off. So, and I obviously needed to heal this to move forward in my life because it was the first time where I felt suicidal again
Mm.
from since I was a kid. So all these things came up, and I I took the courses and I just really opened and found that within the courses, it was natural for people to come towards me and ask my advice and ask for my help or coaching and to give encouragement. It was very comfortable and they were benefiting from it. And Lisa, her team saw it and they asked me to be a speaker advocate coach. And I said, are you sure?
Yeah, there comes that self-doubt again.
Oh, exactly. What? I never in a million years would have thought that this, I knew, and a lot of the other steps I took where they were leading, but I never could have imagined that I would have been a coach in her community. But I always have open doors and seen the unknown as an opportunity because my work's that way. You have to. It's constant. You don't know what your next gig is. It's an unknown and it's part of the fun. But yeah, so they asked me, her team asked me if I wanted to be a speaker advocate coach. I said yes. And I started coaching in her community and one of her courses called Ignite Your Speaking and Writing. And it just, yeah, Speakers Mastermind. And it just took off. It just felt really right and good. And it served my healing. I'm always a student. That I just
Yeah.
need to clarify. Always a student, always learning. I learn as much from those I coach as they say they learn from me. I am always learning from them. There's something, because I believe we reflect each other constantly. We draw into when somebody says, oh my gosh, Walker, you've changed my life because I just, what you said here and what they were ready for it. They drew me to them. And that's exactly how I feel. I feel like, okay, if I have that gift, my job is to give it away. And my job is to help, is to help who I can with my story. It just made sense to me to take her up on that and go forward in that. And I watch, what she was doing. And I've watched a lot of people in the personal development industry and been in their courses or seminars. And there's just something richly reciprocal with her. And that's important to me to feel that reciprocity.
No,
And
I think that's incredibly important.
yeah, yeah, it is.
I've been in a couple of courses and I can honestly one I didn't even finish because it felt icky to me.
Yes, exactly.
And I'm like, well, that was just a lesson learned and money lost.
Yep.
I just said like Just, I'm done. I learned something, always learning, even in failure. I'm like, fail forward,
Yep.
And another one I took, it wasn't icky, but it didn't felt like, it felt more self-serving for the person providing the information. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
I didn't feel that I was, or we, the people being taught, we were the focus. And I was thinking, well, gosh, aren't we supposed to be?
Yes.
Aren't we supposed to be learning from their experience? It was more of, I've done this, I've done that, I've done this, and I'm like, I don't care.
Hmm.
Why did you do that?
Hmm.
And teach us something. you know
Yeah,
so
exactly.
that was two times I was like, oh well, another lesson learned and money lost. And it really does, it turns you off to all
Absolutely.
of it.
Absolutely. It does
Because
because,
for a long time I'd hear life coach or coaching and I'm like, no.
yes.
As soon as I heard it, wall went up. No,
Yeah. Yeah.
stay away from me. I didn't
Exactly.
even want life coaches on my podcast. So if you're a life coach, I'm sorry, no, you're not a great fit.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's my show and I can do what I want.
That's right. And that's
But
wonderful.
it was like that for a while because I
Absolutely.
was so put off by it.
Yeah.
And that's unfortunate.
It is unfortunate because there are some really wonderful people that I've met in Lisa's community and on other podcasts that don't have that. Let me tell you everything that I know,
And how great I am.
how great I am.
Right.
That is somebody who has left the world of being a student and feels like they are the teacher. And the thing is that I don't think any of us really ever are the teacher. I think we are always the student. And if we
We
aren't,
should be, I think. I think we should be open to learning something new every day,
absolutely.
whether it's about the world or yourself or how to change a tire, whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
I think we should be open to learning something new every day. I try to. I try to.
Yeah, me too. Me too. When you're looking, whether it be on Zoom or in a room, um, an audience, because you're putting on a seminar or retreat, your number one goal is to see what they need and to listen
Right.
to where they are. And you may have this fully planned out, and I've been there, fully planned out itinerary and schedule, and you get there and it's like, well, that for
Yep.
is
There
another
it
day.
goes.
That's for another retreat because right now this is what this group needs.
Yep.
That's listening, and that is being open to listen, and that is something Lisa does. She is profound in that, really knows how important it is, and I've learned a lot from her in that arena, in the personal development. And it's natural. I didn't think it would be natural to me because I learned that I wasn't a great listener
Hmm.
years prior, because when I have that box all packaged up inside, guess what? It takes a lot of energy to keep that all packaged up inside. And you tend not to listen very well when you're expending all that energy, making sure that you're not talking about what is really your story,
Right. You can't let it out. Can't let it out.
which
Oh, I
means,
know. I've been there. Understand. I
yes,
understand everything you're saying right now.
yeah, I know you do.
Yeah, because it's almost like you muffle. Everything's muffled because it is. You're using so much energy. It's like, can't let this out. Oh my gosh, they're talking about exactly what I could tell them a story or two. Oh, no, I can't. No, I can't. No, I can't.
Yeah. And then you miss what
And
they're
then yes, and you then miss opportunities,
yes,
even if that opportunity was to learn just that one tiny thing that could have got you through that day better.
exactly.
Listening, yeah, it's I don't, and I don't think, and I know there are times I'm not good at it, even on this show. I know there are times I'm not good at it, but I'll recognize it and say in my head, Kim, shut up. But listening is a true skill. And I don't think a lot of folks pay a whole lot of attention to that or don't think about it much. But to be a phenomenal speaker, you have to be a phenomenal listener.
You do. Otherwise, you're an entertainer. And
Yes.
yeah, you're an entertainer, and also if you're not that entertaining, you're draining. because you'll drain the people, because you've created an audience for yourself to talk about yourself. And that's,
Ego.
yeah. And that's, we all have, we all have an ego. It's part of being in the body, the world, and it is part of our experience here. It's also important that we balance the experience here and have some self-awareness and recognize the tool of the ego is to try and get us to think we know everything,
Mm-hmm.
and not to be a student, because the ego is associated with that safe protection place of knowing what you know, but you don't know what you don't know until you learn it. So we're always walking around going, oh my gosh, I didn't know that. Well, we don't know what we don't know until we know.
Yeah.
So important to recognize that we all have that tendency to do that. But listening, I think, is such a profound skill. If you can learn that, dedicate your day to going out and really just listening, whether it be the cash register person, take a moment. Don't think about how you're going to pay while they're scanning your goods. Say hello, listen to ask how their day is, and listen to their answer. Great. And most of the time they'll say, thanks for asking, how was yours? And we tend to go right into our mind thinking about what we got to do here, or rushing because we want to get out of the line. Take a moment to listen and allow for the opportunity to connect, because those simple things, it's like sunlight to a flower. We need to be heard. We need to know we matter, and we need to know somebody cares enough to listen to us. And we may not be getting that in our home, because our home is somewhere that we're learning another lesson.
Right.
But we can get sunlight from one another and connection through connection. And that helps us learn that lesson we're learning at home a lot faster.
I
Because
think those connections, the world, it's so divided and
yeah,
has been for quite some time. Um, just it feels like it's more prevalent now, or more people are noticing now. It's been divided for a long time. And that connection, personal connection, everybody is so connected to their phones or their televisions, their laptops or their iPads or whatever it is that they've got there in front of their eyes. It's a screen, it's not a person,
that's right.
and they've disconnected. And that's not only mentally, but emotionally.
Yes,
So it's as if people don't even care what happens to someone else anymore. All you have to do is get on social media and see some of the stuff that's posted, and you realize that person didn't care about anything but getting that filmed.
that's right.
That horrific thing that just happened. Or, people are saying, boy, you had one job to do, which was kill him, and you messed it up. I actually saw someone, a young lady in her 20s, say that on a social media thing. You had one job and you missed. You didn't kill him. And I'm thinking that was her honest thought.
Yep,
And she splashed that all over social media.
yep. I saw that.
Did you see that?
Yes, and it was
That actually hurt my heart. It
yeah.
made me sick to my stomach. It made me nauseous. And then anger creeped in.
Yeah, because, well, I can imagine you're a veteran who actually is seen what that does when somebody has to be in a position to,
And I'm like, who taught this person to be? And a lot of people say, oh, that's parenting. That's poor parenting. To a point, maybe. But I'm
yes,
telling you, they're learning way too much stuff. And I'm not by they, I mean in general, not
yeah,
any generation.
yeah,
In general, people are putting way too much time and effort and believing everything they see. They're not really listening.
that's right.
And I don't know, it's just it's a quagmire. What a good word to use right there.
It,
Quagmire.
it is a quagmire. And it's interesting when you don't connect and you don't take the time to listen. A very important part of our nature starts to diminish, and that's empathy.
Yes.
Empathy is directly impacted by lack of connection and not listening. And unfortunately, social media and the clickbait and the instant gratification of what our tech, our phones have given us does impact our ability to care, our ability to feel empathy and compassion, our ability to see outside of our own, as a native indigenous peoples of this country say, the white man doesn't see past his whiskers, which is the vision is here. This is what a lot of
Right.
native used to say about the white man. The reason they would say that is because the ambition was so great to come to this country and to build, and the natives were so connected to the whole environment,
Right.
and they saw way past. They were connected to the stars and the universe and the whole Mother Earth. So seeing these people drilling into where they wanted to be, it felt very contracted and not expansive. And when you look at your phone, you are literally
Right.
contracting your whole vision into this tiny box, or whether it be a big screen on your desk, it's still such a huge contraction compared to the expansion of what you're connected to,
Right.
actually connected to as a living being on this earth, in this universe.
Yep.
And only there in that expansion can you truly build your empathy and your compassion and expand those great, wonderful qualities that humanity and human beings, each one of us has, our innocence, all of that is in there. We don't build those qualities when we contract. We only build them when we expand.
Exactly. I couldn't agree more. I could not agree more. Okay, time has flown. Time
It's
has flown.
especially because we talked for 20 minutes.
I know. I know. And there's so much more I didn't even get to anything I wanted to talk to you about, but that's how the show always goes. And I love how it goes like that. So everything that we talked about was what was meant to be talked about today. So
Right.
awesome sauce. Let folks know where they can find you. And also, if you've got something cool going on right now, share about that, and then where they can find what you're doing, and how they can connect with you.
Okay. Well, the cool thing I have going right now, I can't talk about because of my NDA, but
Those darn non-disclosure
I
agreements.
know. I told you in my work, but I do all, they can find me in Lisa's community, Ignite Your Speaking and Writing. I am one of the speaker advocate coaches in that course and Speakers Mastermind. You can find me on my social media, which you'll have on this podcast. WalkerBrandt.com is my email through my website, WalkerBrandt.com. You can find me on Facebook. It's Walker Kimberly, I believe now. I was, my website or my social media was hacked a couple of years ago, and I haven't been able to get my sites back. So they're from Walker Brandt to Walker Kimberly. Same on Instagram. There's a picture. You'll be able to see it also on TikTok for as long as that's around. But in any case, you can find me on social media. You'll recognize me from that picture. Reach out to me. I respond. I do have a VA that helps me, but I definitely do look at my DMs, and I do look at my emails, and I do go through my spam once a month, sometimes twice, when things do go to spam. So yeah, come and say hi. And I have a newsletter that's going to come out soon, so I'm excited about that.
Awesome. So we can all sign up for that.
Yeah, you can sign up for the free, I think it's a free chapter out of AWAKEN on my website. And the newsletter will go to those emails as well, but we'll send it out another way as well, through Facebook, through Instagram. So,
Well, how exciting. How exciting. Now, I ask all of my guests at the end of the show to please toss out a nugget of hope to those that are listening. So, what would your nugget of hope be today?
my negative hope, negative, my negative, my
Words are hard. We determined
that is
this earlier.
literally how we started. Is
I know. I
hard.
know.
Everything goes okay. That's my
Full circle.
my full circle. My nugget of hope is yeah, in your benefit. Things come full circle in your benefit. My nugget of hope is always try and remember, when it gets really difficult, when you're presented an obstacle, that the unknown is your best friend. It's where you learned how to walk. It's where you learned how to talk. It's where you learned that you loved roller coasters or didn't. It's where you learned how certain stories really appealed to you, or TV shows, you did not know everything you love, from people to things and experiences, all came out of the unknown. So when you're presented with that hurdle, remember, there is something to learn. It's an opportunity, and it is where you belong. So let fear bounce.
Oh, great segue in there.
Right?
Look at you go. I was just sitting there going, oh, I see what
Oh,
you did there.
exactly. Because it always comes up in those moments.
I know. I know. This has been so much fun, Walker. Thank you so much for being my guest once again. And I'm going to ask you on again sometime in the future, in 2025-ish sometime. I'm going to have you back on because maybe you'll be able to talk about the cool thing you're doing now by then.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Which would be great. And thank you again for having me on. And wow, it's just a joy.
Well,
It's
thank
always
you
a joy.
once again for being my guest. This has been truly awesome and a blessing.
Me too. Thank you.
And everybody out there listening, thank you so much for joining in, spending some time with myself and my guest today, Walker Brandt. Tune in each Wednesday, folks. New episodes are up on all listening platforms as well as YouTube. This is Kim Langling, your host of Let Fear Bounce. Everybody be well, stay well, and above all, be blessed. Thank you so much for tuning in to today's episode of Let Fear Bounce. Your time is precious, and I am so grateful that you chose to spend just a small part of it with myself and my guest today. If you've enjoyed today's conversation, be sure to like and subscribe so you don't miss our weekly nuggets of hope and inspiration. And remember, folks, let fear bounce because you've got this. So until next time, folks, keep your light shining bright.